Welcome back to all of my 88,258 amazing students. I hope you are doing well. Today we have episode 6 of Super Sentences, the best series on YouTube for improving your spoken English skills. If you know how this works already, you can skip ahead to the lesson, but if you're new here, let me explain how it works. We're gonna start with a simple sentence. Yeah, just a short, small, basic sentence, right? Then, level by level, we will stretch this sentence longer and longer, making it more and more advanced, more complex, more challenging. Each time we stretch the sentence, practice saying it out loud with me. You can shadow me, in other words, I speak, you speak, or you can pause the video and repeat after me. Guys, by doing this, we are training our brains to speak longer, more complex sentences. In the same way that you might go to the gym to work out your muscles, today we are going to use super sentences to work out our speaking muscles. But before we jump into the lesson, just a quick favor to ask of you guys. Please click like on this video to support me as your YouTube English teacher, and make sure you watch all the way till the end to get the most out of this lesson. All right, let's get started. Level 1 of our super sentence. We have a short, basic, simple sentence. Now remember, you can say it with me or pause the video and repeat back after me. Ready? Let's say it slowly the first time. A man decided to paint his house. Again, but a little faster this time. A man decided to paint his house. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this, right? We've got a man. He's going to be the main character of this super sentence, and this man is making a decision. He decided to do something. He is choosing to do something. What is he making a decision to do? He decided to paint his house. He's got a house, and, maybe the paint job on this house is looking a bit old, a bit outdated. Okay? Yeah, it's looking like it needs a touch-up. A touch-up. What's a touch-up? That means you make it look fresh again. You make it look new again, okay? So because it looks outdated, because it appears like it needs a touch-up, he decides to paint his house. Let's say it together one more time quickly now. A man decided to paint his house. Once more. A man decided to paint his house. Okay, we've leveled up, guys, to level 2, and as you can see, some blue words have appeared. We have stretched our super sentence just a little bit. We've made it just a tad more challenging, just a touch more difficult, okay? Let's read it together slowly at first. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house. Again, a little bit faster. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house. Okay, so now we know the mental state of this guy, this man, our main character, right? We know what he's thinking. We know how he's feeling. He's tired. He's tired. He's not feeling like he has a lot of energy. He's not feeling that, quick, not feeling that energetic. But at the same time, he's determined. Now, we talk about this word a lot on my channel here. Determined means you really want to do something. You have a mission. You have a goal. You have an aim. And you're trying to make it happen. You really want to make it happen. You're not going to give up so easily. Okay, so seems like he's determined to do what? He's determined to paint his house, okay? He is determined to make this happen. He's not going to give up. He's got a goal. He's got a mission. Let's read it one more time together quickly now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house. All right, guys, we've leveled up again, level 3. Let's read it together once more, slowly at first. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend. Again, a little bit faster now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend. Okay, so now we know that he is going to do this job solo. Solo. That means all by himself, all alone. He is not going to have any assistance. In other words, he's not going to have any help. He's not going to rely on anybody to help him out, to give him a hand. Give him a hand. He's not going to have any helping hands with this project, okay? We also found out the time frame for this project, right? Over the weekend. Yeah, this guy is tired, see here. And now I think we know why he's so tired. This guy probably worked all week long, Monday through Friday. He went to his job to make money. Now it's the weekend, and he has a project for his weekend. He has a solo project, a project that he's going to tackle all alone. Tackle, what does that mean? A project he's going to take on, a project he's going to attempt. He's going to try and do, okay? Let's say this one more time together quickly now. Ready? A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend. Level 4, let's take a look slowly at first. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning. Ugh, that sounds terrible to me. That is something I have zero interest in. I believe in this idea of work hard, play hard. Work hard, play hard. What does that mean? That means when it's time to work, you give it all you got. It means when it's time to work, you give it 100%, but then when it's time to relax, when it's time to play, you play hard as well. You play 100% and you work 100%. So this guy, he's taken on this solo house painting project over the weekend, and he's starting early on Saturday morning. Ugh. I kind of wonder how early, because everyone's idea of early is different, right? My idea of early is 9 o'clock a.m. To me, that's early because I like to sleep in. But to this guy, maybe 5 o'clock a.m. is early because he has to wake up and go to work Monday through Friday, right? Let's say this again a little bit faster now. Ready? A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning. Level 5, guys, we are halfway there. Are you starting to feel the burn? Feel the burn? What does that mean? When you go to the gym and you lift weights, you work out, you lift at the gym, you exercise your muscles. If you're doing it properly, if you're working hard, you will feel the burn. Your muscles will feel sore, right? And if you're doing this correctly, maybe you will feel the burn as well. Guys, this is not easy to do. This is a workout, but no pain, no gain. If you don't work hard to improve your English, it won't get any better. So, it might be a little uncomfortable, but I'm proud of all of my students. If you are still with me, you are still working hard at this super sentence. You're doing fantastic. Great job. Keep it up. Let's take a look at level 5 slowly at first. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint. Okay, Yeah, maybe this is not ideal. What's ideal? An ideal situation is a favorable situation, a preferable situation, a situation that you can look at and say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, yeah, this seems good. This situation is not ideal. Why is it not ideal? He only has a paintbrush. One paintbrush, I'm guessing. Otherwise, it would have said some paintbrushes, right? Some paintbrushes, but it didn't say some paintbrushes. It just said a paintbrush and some old cans of paint. Yeah, maybe these old cans of paint have been sitting in his garage for a long time, just collecting dust. Collecting dust. What does that mean? If something has been, stored for a long time in storage or set aside for a long time, for a long period of time, we can say it's collecting dust. It's just sitting there getting dusty, right? So, yeah, these old cans of paint, maybe they're halfway gone. Maybe they're kind of old. Maybe the color has changed a bit. So, once again, the situation is not looking ideal. It's not looking good, right? Let's read it again quickly now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint. Again, push yourself. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint. Whew, are you guys feeling the burn? I'm definitely feeling the burn. Come on, let's level up. Slowly now, a tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help. Now it's really hitting him. Now it's really hitting him. Now it's really hitting him. Now he's really realizing, the truth of this situation. He's realizing, oh man, I bit off a lot more than I could chew. I took on a project that was way too big, way too involved. It's way too involved. Yeah, it's too difficult, too challenging. There's too many moving parts to this project, right? That just means it's tough to keep up with. It's, a lot to deal with. And now he's thinking, man, he's halfway through this project. He's halfway done, but maybe it's taken a lot longer than he thought it would. Maybe it's eating up a lot more time than he anticipated, than he thought that it would, right? And now he's realizing, oh man, oh geez, oh boy, I should have hired help. I should have gotten some people to help me out with this. Maybe that would have been worth the money, right? He could have spent some money to find a couple of helpers to assist him, or maybe he could have called a friend and asked for help. So now this realization is dawning on him. Dawning on him. Here's his face, right? Here's his face. He's like, oh man, this is a bit much. This is a bit much. Maybe he's even a little bit worried. Yeah, he's sweating a little bit. Ah, geez. Oh, man. Okay, let's read this again quickly. Feel the burn. Push yourself. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help. One more time. Push. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help. Let's rally. Let's rally. What does that mean? That means let's get this party started. Let's keep this project going. Let's drum up some energy. Let's drum up some energy and push onwards. Okay, ready? Slowly now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help as he was now covered in paint from head to toe. Oh my goodness, this is getting really ridiculous, right? This is getting to be really absurd. Absurd just means crazy. What a crazy, wacky, ridiculous situation. This guy really should have hired help because now I feel like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's covered in paint from head to toe. How did he make such a big mess? How did he manage to mess this up so badly? From his head all the way down to his toes, he is covered in paint. In other words, he's gotten paint all over him. Man, you really have to try hard to mess up that badly, right? This guy is like totally helpless. Let's read it again. Let's rally. Come on, quickly now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help as he was now covered in paint from head to toe. Again, come on guys, push. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help as he was now covered in paint from head to toe. Whew. Oh man, I am really feeling the burn. I am really feeling the burn. How about you? If you are getting a good workout in, let me know with a message in the comments. You can type, I feel the burn. Level 8, guys. This is no Weenie Hut Jr. This is no Weenie Hut Jr. In other words, this is not for beginners. Things are getting tough, getting advanced, getting really challenging. This is a big mouthful, even for me, and I'm a native speaker. So, if you're still with me, if you're still rallying, if you're still pushing yourself, I applaud you. I applaud you. Hats off to you. You're doing awesome. Let's read this one slowly. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help as he was now covered in paint from head to toe and had barely made any progress. What does it mean if we say barely made any progress? Another way to say that might be hardly. Okay, he's hardly made any progress at all, we could also say. He's barely made any progress at all. So basically, this is telling us that he's trying to push forward. He's trying to, tackle this project. He's trying to get this done. He's halfway through, but he's barely made any progress. This is really interesting, right? Because when I first saw this halfway through earlier in the super sentence, I assumed that meant he was halfway through the painting process. But now, with this added context, I think it means he's halfway through the time that he has to complete the project. Maybe he's halfway through the weekend and he's still barely made any progress, right? So context matters. Okay, let's read it again quickly now. Ready? A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help, as he was now covered in paint from head to toe and had barely made any progress. We're in the final stretch, guys. The final stretch. the last part of this video. Okay, so let's really push ourselves. Slowly now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help, as he was now covered in paint from head to toe and had barely made any progress, wondering how on earth he'd finish by Sunday. This poor guy, we can see that now he's wondering how on earth am I going to get this done by Sunday? Because remember, come Monday, in other words, when Monday comes around, when it's Monday, he's going to have to go back to work, and he's not going to have any more time to pour into this project, to give this project, to devote to this project, right? In other words, he will have no more time for this project. So now he's really second guessing this whole thing. He's really wondering, he's really thinking to himself, oh man, how on earth am I going to do this? How in the world am I going to get this done? Let's read it again quickly now. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help, as he was now covered in paint from head to toe and had barely made any progress, wondering how on earth he'd finish by Sunday. My dear students, if you have made it this far in the video, you are a rock star. You're doing really great, and you are taking your English learning journey seriously. So I commend you. I applaud you. You're doing awesome. This is the final boss, the final boss of this super sentence. What's the final boss? It's kind of a video game term, right? Like if you're playing a Mario game, the final boss is Bowser, okay? Our final boss is level 10. This is a big, fat, super sentence. Do you remember how small it was when we began this video? Now we've stretched it all the way to this monstrous size, this colossal size, this huge size, right? If this is the longest sentence you have ever spoken in your life, I want you to let me know that down in the comments. You can leave me a comment saying new record, because my guess is that for a lot of you, you've never even spoken a sentence this long. So this is new territory. This is something new for you guys, and that's great. We do not learn anything by remaining in our comfort zone, by staying in our little bubble, right? We have to break out of the comfort zone. We have to leave our little bubbles and try new things. So you guys are doing awesome. Let's read it slowly at first. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help, as he was now covered in paint from head to toe and had barely made any progress, wondering how on earth he'd finish by Sunday, and finally decided to throw in the towel and call a professional. It looks like we have a happy ending to this ridiculous situation, to the situation that seemed to spiral out of control. It seemed to really get out of hand. That means it reached a place that was beyond control. It became untenable. It became unworkable. It became something that was really just, beyond this guy's ability to deal with, okay? So finally, in the end, he threw in the towel. That is today's idiom. You guys know that I try to teach a new idiom with every new video. This is a really useful one, a really spoken English idiom that people actually use. It just means you give up, right? You're trying to do something, you give up, you throw in the towel. So what does he do when he throws in the towel? He calls a professional. Maybe he picks up the phone and he calls a house painting service. And he says, "Hey guys, I'm in over my head. I'm really in over my head here." Another idiom. What does that mean? Think of it as like being underwater, right? I'm in over my head. I'm drowning here, right? I need help. So he calls the professionals, and that's the end of our story here. So it's a happy ending. One can only assume, I assume, that the professionals come and they finish the job and they make it look amazing. Let's say it one more time. Are you ready? Quick speed. Really feel the burn, guys. Push yourselves. A tired but determined man decided to paint his house by himself over the weekend, starting early on Saturday morning with nothing but a paintbrush and some old cans of paint, but realized halfway through he should have hired help, as he was now covered in paint from head to toe and had barely made any progress, wondering how on earth he'd be finished by Sunday, and finally decided to throw in the towel and call a professional. Take your hand and give yourself a pat on the back because you deserve it. You've made it all the way through this monstrosity of a super sentence. But guess what? The video isn't over yet. Let's have a cool down activity. So just to reiterate, just to explain it again, to let you guys know one more time, the idiom in this video was throw in the towel. What does that mean? It means admit defeat when something is too difficult. But actually, there are a lot of ways to express this idea in English. Yes, you can just say give up. That's fine. You can also say wave a white flag, like you are surrendering, right? Like you are in a battle or in a war and you are giving up. You are surrendering to the enemy forces, okay? You could also say, call it a day. Call it a day. Call it a day. You give up. You quit. I'm going to call it a day. Now, this one's a little more casual, right? Like maybe you're just at work and you're working really hard and you decide it's time to go home. You're not really giving up on your work. You're just saying that's enough for today. So you can say, call it a day. Here's a really intense one. Fold under pressure. There's so much pressure. There's so much stress that you fold, right? So this one is kind of involuntary. Involuntary. What does that mean? That means you didn't make the decision to give up. You didn't choose to throw in the towel. You were forced to give up. It was involuntary. You didn't do it voluntarily, right? It was involuntary. One more, pack it in. Pack it in. This one, I would say, is the most similar to throw in the towel. You decide to pack it in. You decide to pack it in. So, guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to have a 1-minute speaking challenge. I have a question for you here. Have you ever thrown in the towel on a hobby or project? And what I'd like you to do is push yourself to speak for a full minute, talk for a full minute. I'm going to set a timer and give you a demonstration of what I'd like you to try and do first. So first, watch me. I'll show you how I'd like you to try and respond to this question. All right, guys, so here's my personal connection. Here's my connection to my life. When I think about throw in the towel, when I think about this question, I think about a fitness goal that I had last year. I started watching these videos on YouTube about this exercise called a muscle up. A muscle up. A muscle up is when you grab a hold of a pull-up bar and you first do a pull-up, right? You first do a pull-up, then you push up and over the bar, and you push up and kind of do like a dip, right? So, this is a really challenging physical exercise, but I was watching these videos on YouTube and I saw these people who could do it really well, right? And they made it look really easy. So, I decided I wanted to try and do it. I went out every day and practiced pull-ups, but in the end, I threw in the towel. It was too hard. I gave up. That was my example. I pushed myself to talk for the full minute. I didn't stop talking, and that's what I want you guys to do too. Don't worry about making mistakes. Just keep going. We need to train ourselves to get comfortable talking at length, talking for long periods of time. So here's your minute. Go for it. As always, a massive thank you to my channel members, the people who have clicked join here on YouTube, or they went to patreon.com/English with Connor. Both are fine. Both are the same service. What these guys do is they make my work possible by supporting me with $5 a month. Now, they don't just give me $5 for free, they get some perks for doing this. They get hours and hours of bonus videos that are not available to the public. These videos are only for my channel members, so they get bonus content. They also get PDFs for all of my videos, and they can use these PDFs digitally or print them off and use them physically to take the learning experience to the next level, right? So these guys are getting a lot more out of my lessons. And as a result of that, it's improving their English even further. If you'd like to become a channel member, I would sincerely appreciate it. Guys, I'm getting closer and closer to being able to do this full time. Don't forget, right now I have a full-time job and I just make videos when I have some time to do so. But with enough channel members, with enough support, this is something that I can do full time. So in other words, thank you, channel members. I love you. I appreciate you. If you're not a member, check it out. It's a great investment of your money. Don't spend hundreds of dollars on these online video courses, right? Or apps. My videos are high quality, full lessons, and there's no reason you can't use them to reach English fluency for only $5. It's a great deal. Now, guys, if you're in the middle of a study session, keep going. I'm going to put another one of my videos up here on the screen. Click on it. I'll meet you there. Let's keep going. Let's keep learning together.